All right, man. Hey, everybody. How y'all doing? Hope everybody's good. All right, man. So this is part two of. I should have changed my shirt, right? Oh man, I should have changed my shirt, changed my shades. You know the crazy thing is, I only brought one pair of shades with me. I only brought a pair. And look, I'm gonna show y'all something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, let me cover my eyes first. I don't want nobody to see my eyes. Let me cover my eyes. Let me cover my eyes. Here we go. So look at that. This one almost died when I put it on and caught onto one of my a piece of my hair, and that joint fell. It fell and it broke. So I had to put some tape. I wasn't gonna let these die. You know what I'm saying? Nah. I saved his life. I saved his life. I saved his life. Saved his life. You know? So he what's the name? He's all right. He's all right now. He's all right. He's doing good. No funeral for these shades. At least not yet. You know what I'm saying? One of his legs broke, but he ain't dead yet. You know what I mean? I got some stuff I'm gonna do, tape him back together, glue him back together. He's all right. He's all right. So look, all right. So this is part two of the Kendrick Lamar, the different versions of Kendrick Lamar. Part one was out yesterday, and if y'all didn't check that video out, make sure y'all go check it out. It's pretty interesting. Part one is interesting, and this is part two. So we're gonna get into that. Legendary Spill. This is Torture Talk. If you like the content, please consider subscribing. If you're new here, let me work for your subscription today. All the beautiful, single, sexy ladies, put one in the chat. All the fellas, y'all know to find the ones at. Just don't harass them. I don't sell no merch, but I do have content, absolutely free. But if you want to leave a donation, link is on the screen. Cash App. No more PayPal. They call me the Hidden Gem. 1,300 subscribers, over 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19,000, almost 20,000. And yes, I am the King of the North. Let me know what kingdom you are from. Also, go subscribe to Torture Talk After Hours. That's right at the top of the pin, right at the top of this description. So, let's get to it, man. Let me know what kingdom you from, too. And all that good stuff. So, let's get it, man. Let's go. Okay, so this is part two of the Kendrick Lamar, the mini versions of Kendrick. So we're going to run this back a little bit. Let's go.
But by showing what happens when an artist doesn't just experiment, but fully embodies mastery. Kendrick didn't just wear the robes, he earned them. King Kunta. This isn't Kendrick slipping into some cartoonish role. It's him staking his claim with teeth bared. The name alone carries weight. It draws directly from Kunta Kinte, the rebellious enslaved man from Roots who refused to accept the name forced on him. Kendrick wasn't just borrowing the name for flair, he was invoking a legacy of resistance. Kunta lost his foot for trying to escape, and Kendrick flips that symbolism. They tried to cut the leg off King Kunta, and he still ran the game. This persona lives inside To Pimp a Butterfly, and it's loud, funky, unapologetically black. The track...
That's a crazy metaphor. They try to cut the leg off the Kendrick, and he still ran the game. That's a crazy metaphor. I don't see how anybody could get around that metaphor. That's fire. And To Pimp a Butterfly, to me, is the greatest hip-hop album of all time. And I'm going to get into that in a second. But what he's saying here is absolutely true. He definitely did entrench himself into the black experience as far as slave go, and flip that, you know what I'm saying, from, like chains and whips to chains and whips. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's that whole thing that a lot of people don't understand the dynamic between. And a lot of people don't understand why black people are so obsessed with nice things, is because, in my opinion, we are used to not having a lot of nice things, or we do get nice things and they're ruined by whether it's ourselves because we don't know how to take care of stuff, or whether it's other people from the outside ruining certain things that we had that we build. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm talking about. So let's keep it going.
Blasts out with that G-Funk skeleton, but the production is anything but dated. It breathes and thumps with live instrumentation, layered interpolations, and sonic callbacks. Kendrick channels Mouseberg's Get Naked, not by sampling it, but by recreating the groove, bringing Compton's lost voices into his own spotlight. He builds bridges to Michael Jackson, James Brown, and Ahmad Lewis, all while keeping Terrace Martin and Soundwave locked into the foundation. It's West Coast tradition served with his own signature sauce. Lyrically, King Kunta comes out swinging. Kendrick takes aim at fake authenticity, mocking ghostwriters and industry posturing. He's not whispering accusations. He's shouting them from a rooftop. The bars are direct, cocky, and full of teeth. He doesn't just want to be seen as the best. He demands that the crown be placed on his head publicly and that everyone acknowledge he earned it. He links his personal struggle to the wider story of Black resilience, framing his success as a victory over institutional sabotage.
I agree with that. I definitely think that what he did on this album, to me, pushed the boundaries of what the thought process was when it come to Black America. I think that he actually tried. He flipped the narrative onto a certain demographic of people in this country. Just by the album cover. Look at the album cover. You know what I'm saying? You got a bunch of Black people in front of the White House. That's a metaphor within itself right there. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people don't understand I think a lot of people don't understand this album. I think this album is going to be studied years from now, as far as like different things that we go through in our lifetime as Black people. I think this is definitely going to be studied. Like all of these songs to me was just like, this is a perfect album. This is a 10 out of 10. There's no 9 in there. I honestly think if you say that this album is a 9 or a 9.5 or a 9 strong, whatever, I think that's disrespectful. If I had to give this album a rating, this would be beyond 10. That's how good it is. Like, to me, this album really set him apart from every artist. Like every artist, in my opinion. I think maybe out of all the rappers that I ever came across, I think they could have albums that rival this album, I believe. And I would say it's classic. But for me to say it's better, I don't think so. Like, I'll give it to you like this. One of the best hip hop albums. I'm gonna give y'all 3 hip hop albums that I think is super classic. Well, I'll give you 4. Cause instead of me going with Illmatic, I'm gonna go with It Was Written. It Was Written to me is a classic. That album to me is his magnum opus. I would say that it could rival this album, but it's not better. I think this album is better than that. Life After Death, I definitely would say that. All Eyes on Me, I definitely would say that. The Blueprint 2. No, the Blueprint 1. I'm sorry. Not the Blueprint 2. Blueprint 2 was okay. Blueprint 1. And I would even go as far as saying Reasonable Doubt. So those 2. Wu-Tang 36 Chambers or Wu-Tang Forever. Either one of those, I will say that could come close to this. There's a bunch of other ones that ain't coming to mind right now. Slim Shady LP. I think that is I wouldn't say come closest, but it's a classic. What else? Dark as Hell is Hot. DMX. It's a bunch of them. That I call. Oh, of course, Doggy Style and The Chronic. Yeah, I would put them in the same class. But I think that this album beats every one of them. I think this album beats every hip hop album ever created. Fear of the Black Planet's another one. It beats every hip hop album ever created, in my opinion, because it does everything that every hip hop album tried to do, or was doing. It just does it better. Every one of them. And I heard a lot of hip hop albums. Trust me. Let's keep it going.
The visual side of King Kunta punches just as hard. The music video turns the Compton swap meet into a throne room. Kendrick's posted up on the roof, mic in hand, surrounded by a crowd, like a block party turned to coronation. There's no Hollywood gloss here. It's local, it's raw, it's joyful. And that location mattered. The swap meet was about to be torn down. Kendrick threw a goodbye party for it, knowing that honoring the place he came from was just as important as the flex. He didn't distance himself from his community. He lifted it up with him. And it wasn't just a set piece. Behind the scenes clips show Kendrick hanging out, laughing, dapping people up. The persona may be King Kunta, but the man is still Kendrick from Compton. That connection is the root of the character's power. He's not inventing royalty out of thin air. He's crowning the everyday struggle as royalty. He's saying surviving the system and staying true is enough to make someone a king. Critics got it. Pitchfork praised it.
I don't know what the Compton swap meet is. Whenever I hear that, it's another one. I believe it was called the Piggly Wigglies. But whenever I hear the swap meet, I don't know if that's a flea market and they swap like they meet up and they swap things. I don't know if it's like they like basically you pay for some meat and they swap the swap meat. I don't know what it means. I'm not from there, so I need somebody that's from LA to explain to me what did that mean. You know what I'm saying? In the comments, tell me what the Compton swap meet is. I don't know. I'm not being ignorant. I just don't know. I'm from the East Coast. I don't know. And I want to know more about the West Coast. I want to know as much as I can about the West Coast. I think that, and I'll be honest with y'all, I think that the West Coast and the East Coast are two different type of black people. And I know that sounds kind of crazy to say, but I believe that we are two different type of black people. Like, and what I mean by that is we have different ways of thinking. Just like you got rednecks in let's say people from, and I'm not saying rednecks as in being disrespectful. Let's make that clear. I'm just using it as an example. It's like if I say nigga, then I could say redneck. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying the rednecks and latte liberals, I guess you want to say. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the same, right? They have different ideologies. They both white, but they have different ideologies. It's the same thing for me when it comes to, and I'm not saying that people from LA or the West Coast is like that. I'm saying we have different versions of black people. So black people to me are different in New York versus black people in the West, on the West Coast or LA or East Coast is different from the West Coast. And I want to know more about West Coast culture. I definitely think that black culture is not just one culture. I definitely think that black people have multi-cultures. I think that the West Coast has a totally different culture than the East Coast. It's not the same. We black, but we don't have the same culture. Just like the South. The South does not have the same black culture. And I just thought about that. We don't have the same culture. We all black, yes. But we all don't have the same culture. We have different ways of living and doing things. You know what I'm saying? Like on certain in certain hoods, they may have do similar things. But the truth be told, the Midwest, the South, the West, and the East Coast, black people have different cultures. We're not the same. We're black, yes. We're the same in that sense. But we don't have the same culture. You know what I'm saying? Certain things that y'all do, certain seasons y'all use in cooking, certain ways that y'all prepare certain things. Y'all wear different clothing than we wear. It's not the same. Niggas in New York wear Timbs all year round. Niggas in Cali don't wear Timbs like that. I don't believe they wear Timbs. I believe they wear Chuck Taylors or whatever they call. You know, the what's the name? And as far as like the clothing, I remember when we was wearing certain things and white tees, fatigues. It wasn't wearing that in LA over there. Nah, it's different. So yes, I'm 100% standing on that. Black people have different cultures. We don't have the same culture. You know what I'm saying? I know we all black, yes, and we all primarily want the same things, just like everybody does. You know, we all want money and to be comfortable. Everybody wants that. Does that mean that we all, you know what I'm saying? So let's keep it going, man. That's pretty interesting.
Tracks Fire and Funk, highlighting how Kendrick blends James Brown's bite with Prince's theatrical swagger. This isn't a subtle track. It stomps, it struts, it challenges. The confidence isn't empty, it's earned. The rhythm section doesn't just back Kendrick up, it announces him. Every drum hit feels like a footstep down a red carpet paved with broken barriers, and the reception matched the power. King Kunta sat high on best of lists in 2015, Rolling Stone, Pitchfork, Village Voice, even Australia's Triple J. Everyone took notice. It wasn't just a good track, it was anthemic. It helped To Pimp a Butterfly become what it is. one of the most celebrated albums of its era. And while the whole project is layered with different versions of Kendrick, King Kunta is the one shouting loudest in the middle of the street. But what really cements King Kunta's spot is that paradox. He's a king built from a slave's rebellion. He's rich in power, but rooted in pain. Kendrick didn't clean that up for mass appeal, he leaned into it. That tension, that grit, is what makes the persona land. It's defiance, dressed as celebration. It's survival, scored to funk. So when Kendrick stepped into the King Kunta role, he wasn't creating a fantasy. He was embodying what it means to win without forgetting the losses. The alter ego doesn't hide Kendrick. It sharpens him. He becomes the product of resistance, of pressure, of legacy. He takes what was meant to break him and wears it like armor. That's King Kunta. That's the message. And Kendrick made sure it echoed. Good kid. This version of Kendrick isn't mythic or
That's a fact. That's a fact. Everything he said was 100% accurate. I definitely think that all of those publications, I think that when To Pimp a Butterfly came out, people were so surprised that this artist a rapper at that, a hip hop artist can make an album like this. I think that you had some hip hop artists who made albums that are really good, but this one here was a little bit different because it was structured so well, and it just had so much going on. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. When I first heard it, man, I said, "This is," I couldn't believe what I was listening to. Loving you was complicated. Loving you was complicated. Loving you was complicated. Like, basically, like, he goes from him he left the hood off of Good Kid, Mad City. He goes out into the world. He thinking that everything out here is different because it can't be no worse than where I just came from. I just got robbed. You know what I'm saying? I got beat up. One of my homies got killed. Like, it can't be no worse than that. And I made it. I got to the studio with Dre, Top Dog. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Everybody celebrate King Kendrick Lamar. You know what I'm saying? It all ties in. He has a song right on the end of Good Kid, Mad City called King Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? King Kendrick Lamar. He said everybody celebrate the new version of King Kendrick Lamar because he said he made it out. He got out. Now he's out there. And when he gets out there, he's doing some, you know what I'm saying? Because he basically saying in the first song, every nigga's a star. You know what I'm saying? And what'd he say? What was the hook? We should have never gave you niggas money. Go back home. You know what I mean? You out here, everybody get high. Like he's having a good time because he got money now. So now he's like, yeah, man, I'm going out here and I'm going to call the white girls and I'm doing all this stuff, right? He does all that. And then he realized that he has a vice, it's alcohol or whatever, alcoholism, drugs, whatever, right? And he realized that when he sat in that hotel, that all of that don't matter because you got to love yourself. And that's why he comes with the song, You. Loving you is complicated. You know what I'm saying? It's so complicated to love yourself when you come from so much baggage that you have from back in the hood and all this stuff that you've been through. It's very difficult to love yourself when you by yourself because you so used to bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And what happens? He comes out and ultimately he comes back. When he comes back, he comes back and he shares his story. He almost got what's the name by Lucifer? Some people saying Lucian. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? But he comes back to the hood and he gives back. And what he do? It was the same scenario that Nas did when Nas was talking to the young boy on the bench. He did the same thing. He came back and he was talking to a young boy on the bench. And the boy was like, yeah, like, you who you are, man, but you got to understand. And everything from Power of a Dollar, I could go down the list. Everything. Then he gets to I love myself. Because he went from loving you is complicated to I love myself. And that's what it's all about. You got to love yourself. And then what else happens? What else happens? After the whole theme of the album, he's talking to Tupac. So there's two different versions or two different things happening at the album simultaneously. And you didn't even know it until the end. Perfect. Perfect album. 100% the best album. Best hip hop album of all time. Hands down. I'm telling you, I put that album next to the greatest albums of all time. You know what I'm saying? I put that album up there. Albany Road, one of the greatest albums of all time. I put that next to Led Zeppelin 2. You know what I'm saying? Led Zeppelin 1. I put that up there with that. Michael Jackson's Thriller. That's up there with that. Even Beat It. Off the Wall, you already know. I put that up there with R. Kelly's R. The Weeknd's After Hours. You know what I'm saying? I put that up there. That album to me is there with all of those albums. I could go down. I could keep going too, but it's classic, man. It's classic.
He's real, confused, and trying to stay clean while everything around him spins out. The persona lives inside Good Kid, Mad City, and is tied directly to his younger self. Kendrick isn't performing greatness here. He's mapping his survival. The name Good Kid comes from the track where he says it outright, the space I was in. Knowing that you're doing wrong things, but at the same time, you're a good kid at heart. It's not just a title. It's a contradiction he's forced to live through. The album title itself makes that tension permanent. The lowercase letters, intentional. Kendrick's not trying to present himself as a superhero. It's a kid in a mad city, period. The setting isn't neutral. It's violent, broken, and hungry. And the good kid, he's trying to make sense of it without becoming part of it. This version of Kendrick is part narrator, part participant. The album's styled as a short.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I believe that Good Kid, Mad City is another one of those albums that a lot of people say is better than Pimp a Butterfly. I believe that that's one of those albums that explains to you what really goes on with black youth. There are a lot of black youth out here who do not, I repeat, do not want to do bad things, but they're forced into it. And now what I mean by forced into it, not forced into it as in like they don't have nothing and they forced into it. Some of them, but not all of them. But I mean by forced into it, like peer pressure. And I don't understand why people don't understand how powerful peer pressure is when you got a lot of people who say peer pressure, let's say, for example, they say peer pressure when they were younger. Oh, I started smoking weed when I was a kid because of peer pressure. I started smoking cigarettes because peer pressure and drinking because peer pressure. And that's the reason why I'm an addict. But you can't say that the same for young black kids who grew up in an environment where they have nothing but guns and drugs around. You can't say the same thing for them. You got to, in a way. Peer pressure is very powerful. People got to prove themselves. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to, but that's what they do. They you know, that's what they do.
Non-linear, vivid, loaded with recurring moments and voicemails from his mom and dad. We're watching K-Dot slowly unravel, then get rebuilt as Kendrick. That whole identity arc, sliding between temptation and growth, is where the good kid persona lives. It's the sound of Kendrick putting down the bravado and picking up accountability. In the track, Good Kid, Kendrick just spills. The lyrics don't bark, they ache. He talks about being labeled, targeted, and pulled in by the kind of pressure that's not even dramatic anymore. It's daily. You hear him ask why it's like this, why the system's rigged, why cops treat him like he's already guilty. This isn't someone trying to rebel, it's someone trying not to break. But the persona doesn't live in just one track. Throughout the album, you can hear the good kid's voice cracking through, especially in the moments where he starts talking to himself. At one point, he brings in a conscience-like alter ego that warns him about drinking too much. It's not just a gimmick, it's his inner voice, the part that's trying to keep the moral compass pointed somewhere north, even if it's shaking. His voice isn't dramatic or noble. It's scared, smart, and tired. Kendrick doesn't paint himself as innocent, but he's not trying to be villainous either. That's the point of the good kid identity.
Now, as far as that goes, about the inner voice, that's another callback to Section 80, where he's doing that voice, which I honestly, when I first heard Section 80, I honestly thought that was somebody else. I didn't know that was Kendrick. And I heard Section 80 years ago. I didn't know. I didn't know that was Kendrick. I thought that was somebody else. I really did. I thought it was somebody else throughout the whole album, but it was him, and that's crazy.
Caught in a place where the right choices are hard to see and even harder to make stick. His surroundings are designed to break people down, and he's not sure if he's an exception or a warning. The album cover makes that even more obvious. It's a childhood photo, and Kendrick's the only one whose eyes you can see. The adults around him, eyes blacked out. That wasn't some artsy design move. Kendrick said it himself. His eyes were left visible because they were still trying to make sense of everything. He was watching, absorbing, confused. The good kid is the one who's looking around, trying to understand without falling apart. In that context, the entire album becomes more than just a coming-of-age story. It's a psychological report.
That's crazy as hell if you think about it. Just the album cover is crazy. So the kid eyes is open, innocent eyes see all these things. Everybody eyes that's blacked out, they already seen enough. And they're running around blinded to whatever else is around them. They seen enough. He hasn't seen enough. That's why it's so pure to see. And all of these things that, even if you look at the table and all the stuff that's around them, you could tell that what he was doing here was deliberate. And that's very calculated on Kendrick's part. That's pretty classic, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Kid isn't just Kendrick's younger self. It's the version of him that still believes there's a way through all of it without losing your soul. It's not naive, it's desperate. What makes this persona hit harder is how personal it is. There's no mask, no gimmick. Kendrick isn't pretending. He's documenting the violence, the peer pressure, the pull of gang culture. None of it's glorified. It's mapped like a slow fall. And what saves him isn't some dramatic twist. It's insight, storytelling, and a willingness to listen to the parts of himself that still whisper you don't belong here. By the time you get through the album, the good kid hasn't been erased. He's just learned how to speak louder than the noise around him. Kendrick doesn't pretend he beat the city. He just made it through, dragging that inner voice with him, and that makes the persona timeless. It's not just Kendrick's past, it's the part of him that refuses to forget where he came from or pretend like it didn't leave marks. Good Kid is the root of all the other personas. Kung Fu Kenny, King Kunta, Mr. Morale, they all evolve out of the same place. This version doesn't have a costume or a catchphrase. He has confusion, survival, and the kind of moral clarity that only comes from living through something most people just hear about. K. Dot. This was Kendrick before the Pulitzer, before the Grammys, before the arenas. Back then, he wasn't sculpting mythologies. He was trying to get heard over the noise of South Central LA. K. Dot was his rap alias from the early 2000s through about 2009, and he wore it like armor. This was the version of Kendrick that lived on mixtapes, like C4, rhyming fast, flexing hard, and carving out space in a scene that didn't hand out passes. The name K. Dot itself wasn't just stylistic, it was strategic. It gave him a layer of distance. He could be sharper, brasher, more explosive without tying it all to his government name. This version of him was grinding through rap battles, studio sessions, and local shows with the kind of hunger that doesn't care about Polish. If Kendrick Lamar is the author, then K. Dot was the pen he first picked up to start writing. But by 2011, something shifted. He said it plainly in an interview. People thought of K. Dot as just a kid who can rap, and while he was good, he knew that wasn't enough. He didn't just want to be heard, he wanted to be known. That's when he dropped the alias and stepped out as Kendrick Lamar. It wasn't about...
That's a fact. I think back then, when people seen him, a lot of people, I'll be honest with you, a lot of people, including myself, we didn't realize how good Kendrick Lamar really was back then, because people got to prove themselves. I ain't gonna lie, people do. Like, that's just what it is. A lot of artists got to show and prove. They have to be like, oh yeah, like, if they don't show and prove, then, you know, they'll fall by the wayside. But I think the way he went about his whole career, he took his time and made it step by step, and this is the reason why he's where he's at today.
Abandoning K. Dot. It was about outgrowing him. K. Dot was fast, technical, flashy, but he was also guarded. You could hear it in the lyrics. He was saying a lot, but you didn't always know what he felt. That's the difference. Once he made the switch to Kendrick Lamar, the content cracked open. Suddenly, the rhymes weren't just clever, they were personal. The good kid emerged. The storytelling deepened. The persona sharpened. Still, K. Dot was never erased. He's part of the DNA. That raw, no-filter energy still shows up in later work. You can hear it echo in the bite of tracks, like Backseat Freestyle or DNA. It's the voice Kendrick slips into when he needs to remind people he didn't come out of nowhere. He fought his way into the room. The K. Dot era laid the foundation. This is the Kendrick that dropped bars over Lil Wayne beats on C4, showing off speed and flow, but still hunting for identity. It's the Kendrick that local heads started to take seriously because of sheer skill. His content wasn't as refined, and the themes weren't as layered, but you could hear something coming. Critics and fans often treat K. Dot like the prologue to the Kendrick Lamar saga. underdog. Not because he wasn't great, he was, but because he hadn't stepped fully into himself yet. The name was a mask, a shield, a tool. It gave him freedom, but it also boxed him in. That's why letting it go mattered. It wasn't just a name change. It was a declaration. K. Dot wasn't about legacy or message. He was about proving a point. That point got proven loudly. And once it did, Kendrick didn't need the mask anymore. The switch to his real name wasn't branding, it was growth. He'd built a reputation through mixtapes and freestyles, but the moment he dropped the K. Dot tag, he unlocked the space to talk about trauma, family, faith, survival, all the things that made his later album so cutting. But don't get it twisted. K. Dot.
That's a fact. That's a hard fact. He dropped the name K. Dot and became himself, and that allowed him to do more. That's another thing that I think artists don't really be paying attention to. A lot of y'all don't pay attention to yourselves as far as like how y'all can make y'all career much better. Some of y'all stay in this persona and y'all don't walk out of it. You know what I'm saying? I think a good portion of y'all would be much better if y'all was yourselves instead of being, because people resonate with people who are real. That's just the bottom line. Like all of these people, to me, to a certain extent, they all have a persona they have to live by. But when your persona is you can't go wrong. And that's why Kendrick Lamar is where he's at today. His persona is him. That's who he is. I think people like Drake, people like the Little Baby, Young Thug, all of these people that you can think of, especially the ones that's going on right now, they have a persona they have to live by. And then they can't change. You know what I'm saying? So they just can't change.
Didn't disappear. He evolved. You still catch glimpses of him when Kendrick taps into pure aggression, when he rides a beat like it owes him rent. K. Dot is the technical sword. Kendrick sharp. It's the reason he can drop 10 bars in one breath or flip cadences mid-sentence. That muscle memory came from the K. Dot days. So when fans look back at that era, it's not just nostalgia, it's context. K. Dot isn't some forgotten alias. He's the version of Kendrick who kicked down the first door, the one who proved he belonged. And even though Kendrick retired the name, he never stopped carrying the fire. Every persona that came after, Good Kid, King Kunta, Kung Fu Kenny, Mr. Morale, they're all built on what K. Dot started. The early Kendrick. Kendrick Lamar's story doesn't start in the studio. It starts in Section 8 housing with a front row seat to chaos. Born on June 17, 1987, he was raised by Paula Oliver and Kenneth Kenny Duckworth in Compton after they fled Chicago to escape the grip of gang life. Kendrick didn't grow up in some middle-class bubble. His childhood was boxed in by poverty, violence, and uncertainty. The family leaned on welfare, and at times, they didn't even have stable housing. His world was loud, unstable, and sharp-edged. Until age 7, Kendrick was an only child. That changed quickly, with siblings following behind. He was still a kid himself when the responsibility and pressure started stacking. But long before he was rapping about the contradictions of fame and morality, he was witnessing a man get killed outside his home at age 5. That single event imprinted a sense of mortality that never left. He wasn't desensitized. He was awakened. Compton wasn't a backdrop. It was a force. Kendrick didn't join gangs, but he was surrounded by them. His friends, his neighbors, his environment. It was shaped by the colors and codes that ran the streets. Even when he wasn't throwing signs, he was absorbing the consequences of those who did. There wasn't much room to just be a kid. It was survival training, masked as childhood. At school, Kendrick wasn't loud. He wasn't trying to stand out, but he did. A first-grade teacher once highlighted him for using the word audacity correctly. That's not just a cute anecdote. It's a flash of the observer Kendrick would later become. He watched, he listened, he absorbed, he understood that words had weight. Then came 7th grade. A teacher named Mr. Inge introduced him to poetry, and that cracked something open. Kendrick found rhythm and release in writing. It wasn't therapy exactly, it was precision, a way to turn all the noise around him into something sharp and controlled. While his environment kept throwing chaos at him, writing gave him structure. And then, of course, there was music. His dad's record collection was loaded with Marvin Gaye and the Isley Brothers, but it was the West Coast energy that stuck. The local sound, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, was inescapable. When Kendrick was 9, he watched Tupac and Dre shoot the California Love video at the Compton swap meet. For most people, that would just be a fun memory. For Kendrick, it was ignition. He wasn't just watching 2 rap giants, he was watching a possible future. By 16, he was recording his first mixtape, Hub City Threat, Minor of the Year, dropped under the name K. Dot. It wasn't some polished rollout. It was raw, self-made, and scrappy, but it
That's crazy. That's crazy to see your idol and you in the crowd. Just imagine Kendrick Lamar's in the crowd. The greatest rapper of all time is in the crowd, and he's looking at the time one of the greatest rappers of all time. That's, to me, that's just that. You never know, man. That's why you got to keep doing what you do, because you never know what might happen to you. I'm gonna keep doing this. I could probably have 1 million subscribers tomorrow. I could probably be interviewing Kendrick tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? You never know, man. You can't give up. You just got to keep going. That's crazy as hell to me, man. It's so crazy that dynamic happened like that. That's crazy, man.
Turned heads. He followed up with more mixtapes like Training Day and C4, each one rougher, louder, and closer to something real. These weren't projects meant to impress the mainstream. They were survival documents. Proof that he had something to say, and more importantly, a way to say it. Eventually, Top Dog Entertainment noticed. TDE wasn't a major label. It was a local engine, but it gave Kendrick a platform, a studio, and a future. It let him evolve. K-Dot wasn't a hobby. He was a declaration. Every verse was a new line in the blueprint. This foundation is why Kendrick's music hits differently. It doesn't reach for drama. It's already drenched in it. His storytelling doesn't feel borrowed. It's lived in. Growing up in Compton didn't just inform his lyrics. It became the scaffolding for every persona he built. From Good Kid to Mr. Morale, the roots are here. In the dirt, in the heat, in the apartments, with broken locks and boarded windows. This isn't a background story. It's the prologue to a movement. And the more you understand about where Kendrick came from, the more you see why his music feels like testimony, not entertainment. He didn't step into hip-hop looking for fame. He stepped in because silence was no longer an option. If you enjoyed this...
Yeah, that was amazing. That was an amazing video. All right, man. That was a good video. That was part 2, so hope y'all enjoyed that. Yeah, man. There's a lot to digest in those videos. He said a lot. I'm glad I reviewed both of those, reacted to or reviewed or whatever you want to call them. Gives me a different clarity on who Kendrick Lamar is. I didn't know everything, but I know, I'm sure that there's more stuff that we can all learn. We don't know everything. And yeah, man. So again, thank y'all for joining me. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all on the next one, man. Yeah, man. You know what I mean? Also, I got another one coming. Another unsung hero coming real soon. Make sure y'all be on the lookout for that. Hip Hop Unsung Hero. Probably be dropping that probably on Friday. I'm not sure, but it's gonna come out this week. So thank y'all for joining me. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace. Bye.